This is really cool. Red-crested falcon sitting in a backyard. Right there. Focus, you fuck. That's cool.
So to keep the focus on.
It is. This is really cool.
Tap on the window, see if it does anything.
He's looking towards us with one of his eyes.
Clinging to life, but we were determined to do everything we could to save him.
So glad I got this. Ba ba bum da da. This, ladies and gentlemen, is a Holley 4160 series 4-barrel. It is rated at 600 CFM. That is feet per minute to all the Europeans out there who are watching this video. Gas goes there. Now this is a, I'm assuming, a newer style 600 CFM. There's a way to check it. It's supposed to be on the metering block. That's all the patent information right there. Made in the good old US of A. Vacuum secondaries with an electric choke, which, let's be honest, this is Florida. I'm probably never going to use it. With a custom intake adapter ram tunnel? I don't know what the hell you would call this other than an adapter. I honestly have no idea. I think it's like a cubic foot extra of air mass. So in theory, this is horsepower gains? Question mark. But at the same time, you're only limited by your smallest orifice with intake, everything north of the combustion chamber. So, say for the completely stock heads and the completely stock manifold, this should add some horsepower. Though, this unit by itself, I'm thinking maybe 5, 10 possibly. The carb could be good as far up as north of numbers like between 40 and 50. Though realistically, probably gonna only see maybe a 20 horsepower gain. So, on its worst day, that V6 makes 125 with fuel injection, and I'm assuming that's crank. So let's, for the sake of consistency, say this thing is 525 total extra horsepower. We're looking at 150 crank horse, which you gotta figure drivetrain losses, we're probably looking at 100 at the tires, which is still a hell of a lot more than the motor that's currently sitting in there is worth. It's probably maybe 40 at the tires at best. So it is an improvement, though more improvements will be made as money comes in. We can build the motor up to maybe a 250 and get that much horsepower out of it. Fingers crossed. I mean, realistically, that motor, in my eyes, should be making 239 horsepower at the crank to begin with. You know, 1 horsepower per cubic inch. But that's just my thoughts. I figured I'd just make this little video segment about this beastie here. Also, that opens the second butterfly's second set, which is, again, vacuum activated. So, pretty sure that's a spare vacuum line that's been plugged up right there. Same with this. and that might be an output line for fuel, I'm assuming. Though, it doesn't seem to want to come off. I need to trim this down. I'll chat with you more, and I'll see you outside in a sec. So we're outside now. This is the 3A motor that came stock with this Tercel. From all my research, this motor in fully factory new condition made maybe 63 horsepower, and it didn't specify if that was crank or tire horsepower, but I'm assuming flywheel, just because it is a electronically controlled carburetor. You can actually see it there, sort of. That was rebuilt some 12, 13 years ago. Guys, it's really been that long. No, longer than that, 14, 15. It was early 2000s when we had it rebuilt. It still looks like new, save for the butterflies, and even then, again, still looks new. It's a 2-barrel carburetor. As you can see, I've stripped a lot of the parts out. There should be a radiator right about there. I've already gone in and removed power steering. I know for a fact the timing belt needs replacing. I hate timing belts, which is one of the reasons why I'm going for that motor. A lot simpler in a lot of ways. On the other side, I've already chopped and removed a hell of a lot of shit. That's the distributor? Question mark. I believe, or some form of a distributor. Stupid legs. You're no good to me. The hat comes off really easily. That's the heat shield right there for the exhaust, and in fact, that's the exhaust manifold tubes end right there. And just like every old inline 4, everything's on the same side. In fact, let me take this off. See? Carburetor. Again, electronically controlled, which I'm a very strong proportionate believer in. Let's keep it simple, shall we? Got the fuel lines marked, got the throttle cable marked. That's all I really care about at this point in the juncture. Going to be trying to remove this old thing. The motor's fine, absolutely nothing wrong with this engine. That's not the reason why. The reason why, let's just put you up here, move you out of the way. Alright, so as you can see, 3 pedals. Clutch, brake, gas, which is currently connected to nothing. Now, watch this. Hold on. Alright. Got some light on the situation. So, we're in neutral. Now, it's important to note, that's 4-wheel drive, that's front-wheel drive. It even says front wheel, 4-wheel. Pulled back in 4-wheel drive, there's an extra low gear that's way the fuck over here. It even says right there on the shifter that is a 4.7 to 1 gear reduction, which is great for snow driving. But in everyday use, first, second, third, fourth, third, fourth, third, fourth. You see the problem. I cannot get over far enough to engage fifth, which would be up that way, or reverse, which is down that way towards the passenger. Now, fifth is not as big of a deal as reverse is, because they're on the same shifting fork. I kind of need reverse, you know, because otherwise I cannot daily this thing. So, there's that, and that's the whole reason why I'm doing this swap in the first place. What the hell? Oh, plastic. Because this version with the four-wheel drive, as far as I know, only came to the States, which is very ungood for part finding reasons, because people who have these cars, they are still running on the factory parts. Oil change, gasket change, maybe every 300,000 miles, and that's it. Literally, these things are that reliable. The only thing that ever failed was the AC and maybe the power steering, and I say maybe as a big one. Good, there's fluid in there. Kind of need that. That's the brake booster, which, if I remember right, was actually not bad. There's your starter motor, way down there. But yeah, these things just don't break. This thing is a tank. For a daily driver, you cannot hurt this thing. That being said, it doesn't really like to be wind the fuck up. $5 or more, it does not like. And furthermore, it just doesn't like going over 50, and I blame the transmission on that. It probably the reason why it failed in the first place was because it did not like to be wound the fuck up like it did, which is annoying. Back's full of crap and spare parts. There's the original radiator right there. A spare valve cover for the Dakota motor. Spare distributor because spare parts. Spare valve cover gaskets, all that shit. But yeah, I've done the math. When this motor's out, that motor will have room to go in, barely. But I need to get this one out of the way before that can happen, for obvious reasons. So I'm gonna get back to it, and I'll see you in a bit. So it's tomorrow night, or rather, the next night is, what is it right now? Right, 29th, I think? I have a flashlight in my mouth half the time nowadays. 29th, 7 p.m. Pitch black. As you can see, I'm doing a cigar smoking unit, but progress that has been made between someone showing off between now and then, or between then and now, I should say. It's probably Doug. I've gotten some of the old hydraulic lines off for the power steering, possibly AC, hard to tell. And I just disconnected this guy, which is a relay / battery terminal for the starter motor. That's not free. He was bolted on the other underside, and kind of a pain in the ass to get to. Had shit falling in my face. Now, I've given this thing a couple of pulls, and it came right off its front mounts. Now for the fun part of getting it off its rear mounts. Now for that job to get done. Till then, see you then. So, I've done some crawling around, and it's hard to see, but first let's head back up top, actually. Let's see. This right here And this right here seem to be the only motor mounts, which, including the trans cross mount, seems to be all that's holding the motor up, which is actually pretty common. We'll crawl under here real quick. I can show you the trans cross mount. Now, I'm no Toyota expert. Hell, I don't even know why they did half the shit on this car they did. Why did America only get the four-wheel drive version of this car? But you can see it there. That there is the trans cross mount. And that, coupled with the front motor mounts and a handful of wires, seem to be the only things keeping this motor in here. Keep the camera outside just in case I decide to get real ambitious. But save for the drive shafts up front, the trans cross mount, a handful of wires, I think I could yank this out in no time. Which is really something in of itself. Question though, that to me looks like a drain cock plug for the transmission right there. But so does this. Can someone explain? Or is this the rear diff drain cock? Or does it use like one big ass common thing because front wheel drive center diff deal? I don't know, you tell me. Much appreciated. Ow! And that hurt. I'll see you in a bit. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It is now, what time is it? Let's find out, shall we? 9:33 on July 29th. Half shafts, be gone! That is the output port for the front diff. However, this bastard just doesn't want to cooperate. I got the front driver's side, or the driver's side, all back together the way it should be, which is awesome. Everything's reassembled, minus the half shafts, which said half shafts, and I sit next to the rest of their brethren. I'm keeping these parts. I could have just gone the dirtbag route and sliced them, but I want to hang on to these because, you know, there might come a day where I actually do decide to, you know, maybe, just maybe, put this motor back together. So I'm trying to keep this thing as intact as physically possible. That's why I'm taking the connectors apart instead of, you know, bastardizing it and coming in with a pair of snips and slicing every wire in sight. A lot of vacuum line. Let me tell you, lots and lots of vacuum line. There's a whole fuck ton right there. Don't ask me what for, I couldn't tell you. Probably something to control emissions, which this thing did fairly well in the 80s, I'm sure. And still gets excellent fuel economy. That's one of the reasons why I'm saving this motor. Mess of vacuum lines aside, the motor is rock solid and will not be going away. That is staying. Not in the car, but, well, you get the point. Let's see, is there anything else that needs removing? Looks like that line right there. and this hose above it. Those need to get removed somehow. I don't know what they're for, though if I had to wager a guess, probably some kind of water temp sensor? Question mark. Gonna have to check into that more later on. But for the time being, I'll see you in a bit.